First, let me assure you guys, I've tried to record this video more times than I can count. I feel like I owe my subscribers some type of an explanation as far as where I've been. Most of my friends already know. Steve Owens in Australia from Steve's Kitchen, and my good friend Brenda in Massachusetts from Nature's Fairy Channel have done a pretty good job of keeping everyone informed. But still, my subscribers really don't have a clue where I've gone, where I've been for 2 months. To make a long story short, on April 10th, I was shooting a video for a gluten-free flour blend. Actually, the label on the video, if you can see it, actually says April 13th. But I did shoot that on April 10th. On April 11th, I was narrating the video. I had just finished narrating the video when I received a call from my husband's partner stating that he had collapsed on the job, and they had given him CPR, but he didn't regain consciousness. He was taken to the hospital, where again he did not regain consciousness. He was put on a ventilator. They started a hypothermia treatment where his body was chilled down, and they told me he could be brain dead. He could be fine, or he could be anything in between. So, I don't know, many of you probably know about my 11-year-old daughter. She was hysterical, of course. But in 2 days, he woke up and he was fine. But he had more tests done, and the doctors were recommending that he have a bypass surgery done, even though his event was not caused by a heart attack. He actually had no cardiac damage. They didn't know what caused the cardiac arrest. So he didn't want to have the bypass done, but eventually he agreed. And that surgery went horribly wrong. A 4-hour surgery turned into an 11-hour surgery. They weren't even able to close his chest that night. He was taken back to the recovery with a large open wound on his chest covered by some type of surgical saran wrap. That night he received over 9 units of blood in a 6-hour period. So the surgeon needed to be called back in. Apparently there was a leak somewhere from the resuscitation measures they had to give him on the operating table. So that was repaired. 2 days later, his chest was finally closed. 6 days later, he finally came off the ventilator. And about a week later, he was released from the hospital. And again, he was doing well. So, he was, to make a long story short, he was home for 2 weeks, but he was having difficulty breathing. And on May 14th, he was readmitted to the hospital with a fluid buildup around his right lung. But I was assured by the doctors that after what he had been through, this was a minor bump in the road, and that it really wouldn't even affect his recovery time. So, the following day, they drained the rest of the fluid, and basically I left him at 6:30 at night, after having been there the entire day, and spoke to him a few times in the evening. To make a long story short, I was called back to the hospital about 10 o'clock at night. They told me he had coded. They were trying to get a heartbeat. So I had my older children come and pick my 11-year-old daughter up, and rushed back to the hospital. Um, and he didn't make it. So basically, what I'm saying is, I lost my husband on May 16th. I'd like to thank all of my YouTube friends who have reached out to me on behalf of all of YouTube. Brenda from Massachusetts actually sent this beautiful plant here. And she also sent a lovely, lovely gluten-free cookie tray from a bakery I've always wanted to try, but could never afford. Thank you, Brenda. And Steve from Steve Owen's Kitchen, or Steve's Kitchen. Why do I always screw it up? But in any event, Steve from Australia requested letters of condolence and made up this beautiful card from all of my YouTube friends. You guys have sent, letters, and I really appreciate all you've done. And Steve sent this kangaroo from Australia with the boxing gloves to help me remember my fighting spirit. And these little guys for Gabby and I for our keychains. And this one has a little Australian coin. In any event, I don't want you to think I've disappeared. I'm not sure how long it's going to take for me to straighten out, the affairs here. So I will upload that video, that stupid video. You'll see me smiling like I don't have a care in the world, because at the time I didn't. I'll upload that video as soon as I get a chance, and then I'll try and edit the other videos I've shot. And then I'll try and be back to a little bit of a slower schedule, but I will be back. And I just ask for you to all bear with me. And I'd like to thank you all for your love and support. And I'll see you guys real soon. Felix was indeed an extremely strong man. In fact, he used to walk around the house saying, "I'm strong like bull." I'll add that he was stubborn like an ox. That strength and stubbornness led to a passion that few of you will ever realize in a lifetime. We didn't have a lukewarm kind of love. For us, it was always a fiery inferno. When it wasn't an ice storm, that kind of passion doesn't always make for a smooth marriage, but it makes for a strong one. It makes for a marriage that stands the test of time. The people closest to us can easily attest to the rough times. It wasn't uncommon for our neighbors to hear raised voices coming from the house, or the occasional glassware being smashed out the back door. But we loved each other with a sincere passion. Together, we were like a raging storm, but we endured with a bond that will never be broken. I'll go to my grave loving him. I love you, Felix, always.